This city has 10,000 population, but that's not good enough. I need more, because I'm sick and tired of being broke. So today we're going to build a massive downtown on this coastline with exactly one goal: get rich or die trying. Okay, so right now we make $21,000 per hour, and that's only because I slashed the transportation budget in half. Once we bring that back up, we're broke. So if we're gonna get rich, we're gonna need a whole bunch of citizens, commercial, and office. We're gonna need these 8 tiles, and that's gonna cost $300K every single month and $1 million up front. This is gonna hurt, but by the time we're done, we'll be rich. Now with these purchased, we're gonna need some roads. And because I'm gonna make this area fairly dense, the road layout really matters. So first, we need a road that connects into our highway, and I'll parallel the highway with a 2-lane road. Now we'll need a road that wraps around this canal. Next up, we're gonna need the main spine. So these will facilitate the upwards movement towards the beach. And this is the road that will actually provide that access to the beach, which means we can have a whole bunch of waterfront commercial, and then the road in the middle just provides access to everywhere else. In order to start making money, all we're missing is a grid. And for now, that's going to be the foundational grid, because we're only making $4,300 per hour, and I just want to hurry up and get some people in here. In order to do that, we're going to need a bunch of utilities. So let's start with water and sewage. And then for power, we are going to need a transformer station, and I'm going to place that right here. Now we just have to run the high voltage lines. And now this area should have water, sewage, and power. Now we're going to start with the residential, because we only have 11,000 population, and the entire success of this district is going to hinge on how many people live here. And I want to start with some medium density. We have the Sapphire building, and I want to place quite a few of these in here. Now let's add a district around here so we can track how many people we're adding. And hold that thought, because we have hit milestone 9. The only thing that we care about is the money. 225,000, and we unlocked Barnes & Noble. That gives us Evergreen Heights. If you have a better name, feel free to comment it below. Right now we have 384 households. They want more entertainment, better healthcare coverage, and an elementary school. So let's start with healthcare. And because I want to make this area fairly dense, I'm going to go with the Northeastern Medical Clinic. And I want to place that right near our main road. That way the facility has great access. I'll make sure to set it to this district only. And this facility can hold 230 patients, so it's going to need some parking. And because we want to entice people to live here, I'm going to make our medical clinic just a bit more friendly. And there we go. For now, that's going to be perfect, because we still have a bunch more services to add. So let's add in the Netherlands Elementary School right here. And those kids definitely need a park. We're also going to need some death care. So we're going to unlock the crematorium, and let's place this right by our medical clinic. And now all we're missing is police and fire. And our budget is just going down. We'll add in the Eastern European Police Station right here, and then the Southwestern Fire Station right beside it. Now for the time being, that is going to be all the services, because we're negative. And we're supposed to be getting rich, not getting broke. And we have demand for pretty much everything. So I want this area to be filled with medium density. Let's throw down the Easttown apartment. And that unlocks a few more signature buildings. And what I love about these is they're going to boost our well-being, which means more people will move in. So let's place this one right beside the crematorium. And the Cedar Residence has a massive boost, so I really want to use this. And there goes all of our medium and high density demand. But we're slowly getting profitable again. Right here on our main street, let's add in a bunch of commercial. And we'll add in a bit of office right here. And you're kidding me, we only have low density demand. That's because we still have unoccupied buildings. So all of our medium density just hasn't filled in yet. And we're starting to have a traffic problem. Honestly, not surprising. I'm going to upgrade this section to be a 3-lane asymmetric, so we'll have a turning lane. And we'll also provide a turning lane down here. And that should definitely help improve things. but we're still going to have the bottleneck because we don't own these tiles yet. And perfect. Our medium density demand is back because we have a low unemployment rate somehow. There's 2,100 people in this district, but only 346 jobs. Yeah, something definitely seems off. They must be traveling down to the industrial district in order to work. Either way, let's continue densifying this area. And this time, let's go with some of these courtyard buildings. I'll leave just enough space in between them to run a pedestrian road. And I really want to entice people to come live here. So here's a playground, a volleyball court, which seems to be broken. And what about a baseball field? That would be perfect. In fact, what if it goes here? And on the other side, we have a high school, which I probably should have added anyways. And there goes all of our money. But we have a high school now. And a baseball field. And now, right near the high school and the elementary school, we're going to need a bit more density. So I'm going to quickly add in some of the Riverview apartments. And just look at that. Don't look at the traffic, just look at the budget. We're now making $21,000 every hour. And that's not bad, especially considering that we have a $1.3 million loan and our transportation costs are pretty much bankrupting us. Now, because we have this extra money, I want to reduce the reliance of needing to take a car into the city, because this is going to be a big bottleneck until we expand our highway. And thankfully, because we destroyed the budget in the last one, trains are in place and ready to be added. And I want this to be the end point of this train track. So I'm going to use this terminus station right here, and we'll get a super nice gentle curve. Now we just need a main road up to this facility. Now that it has all of its utilities and its road connection, we can take one of these and just send a route all the way to the outside world, and then all the way back. The outside connection is called Palo Seco. Oops, I didn't mean to destroy it. So we'll call this line number 1, Oyst Memorial Station to Palo Seco. And we already have 3 trains on the way, and not a single one of them have any passengers. But that's fine, because I'm sure we'll get some passengers very soon. Now that should help bring people into this district, reduce the reliance on cars, and overall improve our budget once we have a bunch of people, businesses, and whatever else in this district. We are making $24,000 an hour though, and it feels good to finally have some money. But this still isn't even close to good enough. We still have all of this, and we're going to aim as high as possible. So first, I'm going to finish zoning all of the lots that we have left. And let's do this nice and quick. Right off of King Street, let's have Taco Bell, Whataburger, and AutoZone. And on this side, let's have a nice little pub, another pub because why not, a gas station, and Morrissey's supermarket. We gotta add this in. This is a perfect fit because everyone is gonna need somewhere to get their groceries. So let's add that right here. Now for the rest of all of these unzoned lots, I'm gonna fill it in with primarily medium density, and if we run out of medium density demand, then I'll go to my backup plan and add in a bunch of low density instead. Alright, and here's how it looks so far. We do have quite a bit of traffic. It was even worse just a second ago, but I don't want to think about traffic until we're rich. Because once we're rich, I'll implement a mega highway. And right now we're only making $31,000 per hour, and we only have 15,000 population. So in order to get rich, we're going to develop the beach next. Before we develop the beach, there is one more thing that I want to consider. So I've left 1 unit of space in between all of these houses and on the side of this road. And that's because I want to take this bike path and send it all the way across, because if we have bikes, then we reduce the reliance on vehicles and make it easier for the citizens to travel to our businesses, which helps make us more money. So first we'll have a bike path, then we'll have a pedestrian path, and we'll do this all the way down. And that's pretty good, but it's still not good enough. I want to facilitate the bike movement from all of this residential all the way down to our grocery store and our clinic. Now here's the bike and pedestrian network. Of course, we're gonna have to add in some spots to put your bike, which means we have to unlock parking. And we'll just place a few of these in some key areas. And hopefully that should be enough bike parking. I know in the past, bikes used to get a little bit crazy, and this is the most criminal thing ever. The fact that you can add a parking fee for a bike, I feel like that should just be banned. Now, while traffic is somewhat tame, and we're still profitable, let's take this to the next level. So the first thing that I want to work on is the buildings that are going to front this road. Because this is the water, and it is the beach, I do want this to be pretty spacious, because it should feel premium. That means I'm going to need a whole bunch of density, because 28,000 is just not enough. I need at least 100,000. So let's add in some of these Brighton condos. And in terms of signature buildings, we really don't have all that many. Now I'm just going to continue to add a few more medium to high density buildings right alongside this road. And that is looking really, really good. Now, almost at random, I'm going to create intersections with this 2-lane road. And that's primarily because I have made a super grid right here, and it's going to haunt me unless I start to vary things up around this area. And something interesting that I really like is we have this hill up here. And if we turn this into a really special area with some medium or maybe even some high density, I could see this having crazy land value and therefore generating more tax revenue. So I'm going to make a few connections from this road alongside the contour lines and then back into this one. Wait, we've hit milestone 10. We're a small city. You are one step closer to greatness. You are right. Can you please go away so I can see how much we're making? We are making $31,000 per hour, but that's not greatness. 1 million, 3 million. $1 billion in the bank account. Now that is greatness. Now I want to pull all of these connections down and get them connected into our grid. And now with all this in place, I'm going to quickly build out the rest of the grid. And here's our final grid. Now before we plop any buildings in, I want to bring all of these pedestrian and all of these bike paths down towards our shore. And if I've spaced this out correctly, all of those connections are going to go directly in the middle of these buildings. And now it's all coming together. And we're making 40K per hour. That's pretty good. And 7,000 residents live in this district, which is a lot less than I would have figured. We are having some traffic problems, and it seems like it's just because people want to go in this garage. For the time being, I'm not going to worry about that. What we need is a bunch of bike parking, and I really don't want to think about this too much, so I'm going to add in a few of these underground bicycle parking halls, because each of these has enough capacity for 452 bikes. And I'm going to add on this side entrance. In fact, we'll add 2 of them, and make a connection in from our bike path to this facility. But none of that is giving us more residents. In order to get more residents, we need to do some more zoning. And we have no more high density demand. All we have is medium and low density. And I really want to try my best to separate some of this density. So I'll place a few medium density buildings here. And then on this side, I'm going to add a few row homes. And I'll concentrate all of that on Wood Street. And now with the rest of the space up here, I want to add in some medium density. And with that, we are out of medium density demand. That's fine though, because we can take a break and work on the next revenue generator. And speaking of revenue, we are making $47,000 every hour. Again, it's good, but it's not good enough. And no, garbage is piling up in our new district. Anything but the new district. The old one, you know, who cares, whatever. But the new one, and we're gonna add in a recycling center, but it needs to go somewhere central in between these 2 districts. And unfortunately, the best place to add that is right beside the landfill. There just isn't a better place right now. So I'm going to tuck that right over here. And now that this can process 1,500 tons of garbage every month, we should be in a much better place very soon. Because the biggest bottleneck was that the landfill could only process 100 tons of garbage. And as a city, we produce 694 tons. So, while that's doing its work... Oh no, we don't have enough water. Okay, it's crisis after another. The water pump is right here, and it is filled with garbage. Okay, this is perfect timing then. While I wait, I will add on the extra capacity pump, and hopefully that's enough to get things back in order. And yes, okay, perfect. It is. We're back up and running again. Now, I want to develop out this beach. So we're going to need these 2 tiles, and it's only going to cost $28,000 every month and $130,000 up front. This is nothing when you're making $40,000 every hour. Now, there is one big thing that we're going to need for our beach, and that is an obscene amount of parking. I know we're doing all of this work to bring people here, but this North American city just wouldn't be able to live without their parking. So I'm going to add a crazy amount of parking all along the waterfront. And now with all of this parking in place, we're going to need some commercial. And the Oasis Kitchen is going to be the first building that we're going to place because it's going to fit perfectly with the waterfront theme. And right beside it, let's have the Horizon Lounge. And of course, we'll have to get rid of some of the parking in order to do this. And the Riverside Grill. Definitely got to have the Riverside Grill. So we'll get rid of some more parking. And the Lobster Tail is going to be perfect too. Although if I can, I'd like to get this building closer to the beach. Right there. Which means I'm going to have to use a pedestrian path to connect all of this in. And there we go. That is looking really good. Now we're also going to need a few parks. And definitely we got to add volleyball. Although you can't really tell that it's volleyball. We'll just have to use our imaginations and pretend. Now I think before we go any further, there's one really important thing that we got to do. And that's make this beach feel like an actual place that people want to go. Because right now, it does not feel like one. It feels like a little bit of sand, a few rocks, and a building in a park. And if I really want this city to be profitable, then we have to make sure that the citizens have an amazing place to go. Otherwise, no one's going to live here. And there we go. There's a few chairs, a few umbrellas, a nice little bike path that runs all the way down, and eventually we're going to give this a bunch more love, but for right now, we got to focus on the profit. We're only making $42,000 per hour. I did have to increase the budget for garbage management and water and sewage. I'm going to drop the water and sewage back down to 100%, but the only reason why I had to increase it is because this kept getting swamped with garbage, and the only way I could fix it was to increase the budget. But that's just in case if you're wondering why we're losing so much money. When we put it back to normal, we're making $48K. Now, we have a whole bunch of land to zone, and I want Dale Street to primarily be filled with commercial. So first, I want to remove the zoning from all of the side streets, and now I'm going to mix this up between North American low-density commercial, Southwestern, Waterfront commercial, Northeastern, and I'll just get all of this zoned in. I'm going to let it fill in however it wants. And we have quite a bit of office demand, so let's place this big old tower right there. And we actually have high density demand again. That is really good, because I want to place some of these low rent buildings closer to our waterfront. And right beside them, let's have a big old park. We're pretty much all green except for over here. Now, because we have all of this demand and we're only making $46,000 per hour, I'm going to zone the rest of this in. And it's primarily going to be a mix between row homes and medium density. Now, I've been simulating at 3 times speed for quite a while, but yet we don't have any medium density or high density demand. And the main reason is due to unoccupied buildings. Now, the only unoccupied residential that we have are these Riverview apartments right here. So I'm wondering, what if we give them a few more playgrounds? Because overall, this wouldn't be that bad of an area. Now, the parks don't seem to be helping, so I'm just going to delete them. We're going to add commercial here instead. Unfortunately, we still have unoccupied buildings, and also not enough customers, which is just crazy talk. You're in front of some of the densest buildings in this entire city. How could you possibly not have enough customers? We are making $71,000 per hour, and we've more than doubled our population. Plus, we have 4.2 million in the bank. So here's my new plan, and it gets us one step closer to this city becoming a utopia. We're going to drop the taxes for residential to 8%. And eventually the dream is to have all of this be free, because that's how a true utopia would function. We finally have demand again, which means we're ready to finish out the zoning. I think one of the problems is that I'm moving way too quickly, and I'm just not being patient enough, which honestly sounds exactly like me. The unemployment is currently 7.4%, so we're going to have some office right here. And this area is definitely in need of a good hotel, and thankfully we have the perfect building. It costs $200K, but it's going to improve our city attractiveness, reduce the import costs, and improve well-being within 300 meters, which is going to make this a better place to live, and therefore more people will move in. Now, I really want this to be fronting the beach, so let's get this placed right beside this skyscraper. And this is going to employ 70 people, which brings unemployment down to 5.3%. And lodging is only making $8,000 in taxes, so this building should really help with that. We are out of office demand, so let's add in a bit of commercial here. And now the rest of this, oh wait, we are having a sewage problem. We produce slightly more than we treat, so let's add a second facility. And I want this to sit on top of the hill because it makes the most sense. Water will be able to flow down and serve these areas. This tower does have the upgrade for the filtration system. Now, to get this tower connected in, I'm going to do two things. First, this train station is way too close to where I want the other train station to be. So I'm going to push this train station further back to the shoreline. That way we're turning this into an amenity rather than making people walk. Once that's done, I'm going to snake a road around these contour lines and meet up somewhere around this road that serves the train station. Once that's done, we should have perfect water and sewage, and we shouldn't have to worry, at least for a while. Because we're only at 75,000 per hour, and I know we can take this way higher. So now we should be good on sewage and water for a long time. I unfortunately built this outside of the existing tiles we own, so we're going to have to buy these two as well, and it's going to cost $74,000 every month and $375,000 up front. But we are making $84,000 per month, so we're definitely increasing. What I really like is the new train adjustment. It just makes a whole bunch more sense, and it's going to be great for when we turn this beach into a proper amenity. While we're here, I'm going to add a bit of parking. And you shouldn't have to pay to park to ride the train. We do have some upgrades and they are fairly cheap. This one provides more well-being, so more people will want to move in, and they'll be happier to live here too. And this one does the same thing. And the line has 110 passengers, but only 4% usage, which is just awful. I'm going to take this ticket price down to $1, and we'll drop the assigned vehicles to 3. And now that we have all of our problems taken care of, well, at least most of them, I think it's time to finish the plopping. The majority of this is just going to be medium density or row homes. Now, with all of that plopping done, I think that's where we're going to call it on the expansion part. This new district has 21,000 people, 3,800 employees, and our total population is now 32,000. But the best part is, we're making $96,000 per hour, and it feels so good. The hardest part of starting a city is being poor. Before I can pretend all of this has truly worked though, there is 3 important things that we need to do, and one of them is gonna make us even more money. First, let's set the transportation budget back to 100% because a true utopia wouldn't slash their transportation budget. So that puts us at $82,000 per hour. Second, the average wealth in this district is poor, but we need them to be rich because the richer they are, the more money they can pay us in tax. And looking at unemployment, it's currently 11.8%. And that's a big contributing factor to the average wealth being poor. If you can't work, then you won't have money and we can't get paid. So we're gonna build an office park. And I want that office park to exist right over here, right by the beautiful beach. So first, I'm going to quickly extend this grid out. And it's a bit steep here, but I think we can do something really interesting. So I'm gonna do a little bit of terracing. And now in this bottom lot, we're gonna need some office that is 2 deep. And then in the one above it, we're gonna need some office that is at least 3 units deep. And I'm trying to make it so that the buildings still have a sight line into the beach. And I find it hilarious. All this office only reduced unemployment to 9%. Really not what I was expecting. Which means I'm going to quickly expand the office park to also include this lot. And that brings us to 7.4%, which I'm going to consider good enough, because we still need to improve education across the city, and apparently a whole bunch of other things. It seems like our medical capacity isn't high enough, and really what we need is more vehicles, and this extension wing only gives us extra patients. So let's add 2 more clinics down here. Now there shouldn't be any more medical problems in this area. Back to the land value, it's still poor. What I think we need to do to improve it is to also improve the land value. Because right now, it's pretty mediocre, especially near the beach, and I would expect this to be the highest. So what I think the beach needs is a whole bunch of parks. We're gonna have to run a pedestrian road right in front of this parking. Now that we've got this in, I'm just gonna go crazy on a whole bunch of parks. So there's a playground, and here's a few tennis courts, and also here's a bunch of basketball courts. And of course, I want this to terrace, so I'm gonna add a retaining wall to the inside of this. Now right here, let's add a skate park, and then we'll add a bit more basketball at the bottom. I honestly can't tell if we've made a difference or not. No, it's definitely more blue. Yeah, you can see that it kind of radiates now. I'm sure the average wealth is going to take a little bit more time to update, but all of these parks should definitely help. Now before we move on to the biggest moneymaker, I'm going to quickly clean all of this up. And that is a million times better than what it was before. This actually feels like a place you might want to come to now. And look, we even have people walking down our pedestrian path. And your household wealth is modest. You're comfortable, and you are poor. Well, Kate Denny, you will be forever known as Denny's. Also, please move out. I hope this helps with not enough customers too, because it seems to be helping. Either way, we're now making $88,000 per hour. We have $10 million in the bank. We have 4,800 employees in this district, a total of 32,000 residents, and it's finally time to push this to the most extreme heights. We are going to generate and sell our own power. Because right now, we import all of our electricity, and it costs us $484,000, and we only get $76,000 in fees. And that is just pathetic. We can do way better. Now, I've been eyeing up this area for 2 reasons. First, it has underground water. But second, it has people close to it, so we don't have to worry about not enough workers. Although apparently high resource costs is going to try and drag us down. Well, guess what? I don't care. So first, we're going to need to buy some tiles. And these 4 tiles should be enough. It's going to cost us $330K every month and $1.8 million up front. Well, guess what? We're not broke anymore. Now we're going to unlock the geothermal power plant, Because of course, if this is going to be a utopia, then we need the cleanest energy possible, and we can't build a dam, and we're definitely not ready for nuclear. Which means the geothermal power plant is going to be our best bet. Now it looks like there's a little canal here, but if we place it right on the edge of this map, we should be perfect. Let's use this rural highway, and we're going to get this connected into our 2-lane. Now let's connect these high voltage lines, and we'll also send one more connection to the outside world, which means we are now officially generating and exporting our own power. So the import cost should go way down, and our export should go way up. While I let that catch up, I'm going to quickly add in a little bit of parking here. And of course, you shouldn't have to pay to park at where you work. That is ridiculous. Last thing I'll do is make this area a little bit more dry. And now we are producing 170 megawatts, and we're exporting $300,000 per month. Our maintenance and resources is only $300,000. So we're making significantly more money now at $98,000 per hour. I want to be at 100K, so let's pay off this entire loan, which puts us exactly where we need to be. Amazing. Now there's one important thing about a utopia. If you live in this city, you shouldn't have to pay for water or for electricity, because that's the dream. So I'm going to take these service fees all the way down to 0 for both water and power. This does have an interesting effect though. Because our service fees are so cheap, our electricity consumption is now 30% more than what it would be. But our company efficiency is now plus 10%, and we get a plus 5 to our citizen happiness, which in the long term is gonna pay dividends, even if that means we're only making $97,000 per hour as of right now. Now we started at $21,000 per hour, which was technically $8,000 per hour if you factor in the reduction of the transportation costs. But now, we're basically making $100,000 per hour. And actually, I'm gonna have to stop you there, Loon, because while I was recording cinematics, the city kept simulating and we made it to 160K per hour. For population, we started at 10,000, and now we have 32,000, which means we basically tripled the population, but we 10x'd our revenue, which is a really big win for a city that couldn't even afford basic trains in the last one. I'm just glad that we're finally rich. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Today's shoutouts go to Gary Key, Jake Hill, Mississippi Mikey, Aiden Fernelski, Henry Vopel, Dylan Barnett, Sinan Ozdemir, Soyan x2, The Poop Sheriff, James Robinson 23, and to every single person who supports this channel. Seriously, I can't say thank you enough. If you want sneak peeks, access to save files, and much more, you can join us over on Patreon or on YouTube. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.